Hey, comic lovers, EMoney and the old man back with you again for another episode of Back Issues. Alright, so what do we have going on today? Well, we have some news from DC Comics. We have a brand new sci-fi trailer coming out. Plus, we have our comic book reviews, previews, and I have a special themed movieism. So, a lot of stuff going on this week. Alright, so, you know what? A good parent wouldn't make Grogu choose between his two dads. Someone should tell Luke that. I'm just saying. This is Back Issues.
You don't realize I'm sitting over here doing my Silent Bob to your Jay.
Alright, so before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of this comic book news, something about our reviews, or you can give us some recommendations.
Mostly subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000.
Yeah.
We're a couple hundred short.
Do that too. Alright, so first up today, comic book news. So, a lot of stuff going on at DC right now. One of the biggest news stories is that a Gotham Knights TV series has been ordered at the CW.
Ooh, Batman.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, just like with Batwoman, this will likely be a non-centric Batman story that's told in Gotham City.
What's wrong with y'all at DC? What the hell's wrong?
It's very frustrating, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, think about all the TV shows that have to do with Gotham that have come out in recent years that don't actually have Batman in them.
Gotham kind of had Batman.
I mean, Gotham had young Bruce Wayne, and then at the very end, you get a single shot of Batman, and that's how the show ends, where you see, new Batman for the first time, and then that's it.
It's really the Commissioner Gordon show.
Yeah, pretty much. So there was Gotham. Also, you have, you still have Titans, where you get Bruce Wayne, but you don't get Batman.
And they really don't like Bruce very much.
No. And, just the way they write Bruce Wayne when it's not a Bruce Wayne story, but they have him in the story anyways, I mean, I just hate it so much. Because, and let's look at also Batwoman, who, takes place in Gotham, but Batman just up and left a few years ago, and now Batwoman has taken over.
And also, you have all of the Rogues Gallery attached to Batman, yet you can't use them for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell, DC?
Yeah. And you have, stories that are not Batman-centric, but it has Batman in it, and Batman always leaves Gotham. And if it were a Batman story where you didn't have all this red tape to get through about, legalities and copyrights or whatever, Batman doesn't leave Gotham. Like, he wouldn't do that.
He might go out for a snack, but he'll be back.
Yet they constantly write him to where he does, and I think it's a disservice to the character. I mean, if you're gonna do, stories relating to Dick Grayson and young Bruce Wayne and Batwoman, then you need to do Batman right.
I mean, he, in my opinion, is the most popular character in the DC universe. I mean, if you look at the comic books, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, where almost every DC comic that shipped was related in some way to Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So, what the hell, DC? What the hell?
I don't know. And then another problem is that, like most shows, most DC shows at the CW, this one seems to be, it'll be a standalone TV show now.
So it's going to be like Stargirl.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the executive producer, Greg Berlanti, sort of gave up on the shared universe.
Arrowverse?
Yeah, after Crisis, he sort of gave up on it. Because there's so many inconsistencies between Superman and Lois and where we left off with Supergirl and all of the other characters that, if you try to connect the shows, they don't really make any sense anymore.
You had it right there in the palm of your hand. You got so close.
Mm-hmm. Now, they did a little bit of a connection in The Flash a little while ago. There was a 5-episode series where they brought in Black Lightning and Batwoman and Alex from Supergirl, and it's like they sort of pretended that the characters were shared for that story, but then it sort of just kind of went back to the way it was after that. So it's totally inconsistent. And the new show Naomi, where in her world it's supposed to be the real world where superheroes are comic book characters, but then a Superman sighting shows up in her hometown, and Superman is not supposed to exist in her world except as a comic character.
In all fairness, we've only seen the first episode, so
true. So yeah, I mean it's just sort of a mess right now, and I feel like Berlanti just kind of gave up on it. He just said, "All right, you know what? Write your own stories. I don't care anymore." So it's really kind of disappointment. But you know what? We're probably gonna watch Gotham Knights anyways, just to see what's up.
Well, at least the first few.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there's the Gotham Knights TV show. Now, moving on to DC movie news, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gave us a little update on the upcoming Black Adam movie due out later this year.
You mean the movie they've been talking about for like over 5 years?
Seems longer than that. I mean, there was speculation for years that people wanted The Rock to be Black Adam, but there was no signed paperwork at that point. It was just wishful thinking. But every now and then, wishful thinking turns into reality.
How about we get the movie out while Black Adam is pertinent? Or while Dwayne Johnson's still alive? Come on.
Well, The Rock says that Black Adam will disrupt the hierarchy of the DCEU, and he's going to turn the superhero expectations on its head.
Okay, you said the DCEU.
Yes.
What the hell's that take? You can drop a hand grenade in any room in the DCEU and it's going to screw something up.
Yeah. I mean, mostly the DCEU in recent years has been focusing on anti-heroes, i.e., Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad has been some of its more successful stuff in the last few years. So, now they're taking a risk with a, more high-powered character with Black Adam.
Well, they took a risk in the Justice League comic, and he made him a member of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm. So, Rock says that Black Adam will have a hefty body count, of which fans are unaccustomed to watching Batman and Superman movies.
Well, better not kill somebody important.
He says that in the traditional DC universe, as we all know, if you do something wrong, Superman and Batman are going to try to bring you to justice. If you do something wrong to Black Adam, you're going to die. It's just that simple.
Okay.
So,
what's the rating?
I mean, it sounds like they're pushing towards an R rating, right?
I can only hope.
Yeah. I mean, with, movies like, the Suicide Squad probably should have been R, but I don't think it was R. And obviously, Deadpool was rated R in
You cannot do Deadpool if you don't rate it R.
In the Fox Marvel shows. And, Deadpool 3 is in the works, and it's going to be in the MCU, but it will be rated R. So that's new territory for Marvel there. So there you have it for the new Black Adam movie coming out later this year. Also, he says that a showdown between Black Adam and Superman is inevitable.
Okay.
So, yeah. So hopefully Henry Cavill will be back for that.
Well, if he kills Superman, there's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there is the DC-related news. Now we go on to sci-fi TV news. The newest sneak peek trailer for Season 3 of the Orville dropped earlier this week.
Finally.
Yeah. And, it looks pretty intense, this new season. It's actually going to be released on Hulu. Fox...
Hulu.
Fox gave it up like it gives up many of its best sci-fi projects. Firefly.
Can Hulu pick up Firefly?
Well, technically, if they were to do a new Firefly series, not saying they are, it would be on Disney Plus because it's owned by Disney now, and it's been discussed.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Back to the Orville. Yeah. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty intense season with them fighting. I forgot the name of the species, the Isaac species.
The robot people.
Robot people. And it looks like from the trailer that the Planetary Union is allied with the Krill, which I think we saw that in the previous season in order to fight Isaac's people. So, it looks pretty intense. And, the old man and I, we've been, pretty big fans of the Orville since it first came out.
Well, for one, we both like McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
We both like science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, we thought this was going to be just like a parody of Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to talk about subverting expectations? I mean, we saw the first trailer. All right, it's going to be, Star Trek parody from Seth MacFarlane. This will be good for a few laughs. But no. I mean, it's actually pretty serious sci-fi.
Well, there's some comic relief in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it seems like as the 2 seasons went on, each episode focused less on the comedic relief and more on good science fiction storytelling.
Mm-hmm. And, a lot of the stories and themes that they tackle in the show, it reminds me a lot of, old school original Star Trek. The way Gene Roddenberry would have done it.
Yep.
Star Trek Discovery nowadays, I think a lot of it gets bogged down in a lot of the pseudoscience, and, it's like they kind of forget to tell a good story when they, get caught up in that.
And don't get me wrong, I still enjoy it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I might have to give it to Orville over Discovery right now.
Well, if the brief glimpse they gave us of the next season is a good sampling, forget comic relief. It's intense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next season of the Orville, I believe, comes out June 2nd. So this
June?
summer. Yeah.
What are you going to be talking about it so soon? Now I just got to sit here and wait for it. You jackass.
Hey, a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2022. So you're not going to be bored for too long.
All right, wait till like a week before something happens, and then tell me about it.
The Batman coming out next month will be the first big superhero movie of 2022. So you got that to look forward to.
The whole question there is, can the old man accept sparkly vampire guy as the Batman?
I mean, do you want to watch the Lighthouse again to get a feel for his range and his ability as an actor?
We'll see.
Okay.
Don't watch The Lighthouse. Oh.
I mean, if you want to feel better about Pattinson being Batman because you've only seen him in Twilight and Harry Potter movies, watch The Lighthouse and you'll see that you should not judge him based on Twilight.
But don't watch The Lighthouse because you want some light entertainment.
No, it's not for the entertainment value. Unless you find entertainment value in performances.
If you're looking for performance-driven movies, I give it. Yeah. It is.
All right, so there is your sci-fi TV show and all your comic book related news. Now, on to our comic book reviews for this week.
Oh yeah, we do review comic books
Yeah.
on this show. All right.
Yeah, we talk about whatever the hell we want around here. I mean, it's our show.
true.
We can do what we want.
That's
You're
true.
just you're just here for the ride.
Absolutely.
All right. So, in case you have not tuned in before and don't know how we do this, we judge these comic books on a 5-shield rating system. We each give it 2 scores, one for writing and story and the other one for artwork. And then we take those 4 scores, combine them together, and give it an average overall score. All right, so first we want to bring up our mentions for this week, so something that didn't quite make it into the top 3, but we felt it was worth talking about anyways.
All right. So, first thing we wanted to talk about was a DC miniseries. This is number 4 out of a 12-issue, maybe that's called a maxi series, I don't know. 4 out of 12. And this is The Dark Knight of Steel, number 4.
All right, so this is one we've been following since the beginning. And
Well, it's
in
such
this
a
one,
fascinating story. I mean,
yeah.
It's a big what if or black label or whatever you want to call it.
it's pretty well told. This one is mostly a flashback issue where you get the origins of the L family and how they came to Earth, and also how they got to know the Wayne family, the Wayne's kingdom. And you get the origins of Bruce Wayne / Batman, and also you get, and it's not what you're expecting. You're thinking, okay, well, it's Bruce Wayne. He was killed by some thief the family was killed by some thief in the alley. Only it was in medieval times. No, it's not that. It's
Something else.
they take similarities to the origin stories that you know of, and they change them up fairly dramatically. So it's not going to be exactly what you're expecting.
Oh, no.
And also, you get what happens in the origin of Sir Luthor, the L's advisor, or I'm sorry, the Wayne's advisor. So, a lot of cool stuff in this issue, a lot of explanation about where characters came from. Dark Knights of Steel, number 4 out of 12, comes up with
3.5 shields.
3.5 shields out of 5. Next up,
DC has a new limited series. Doesn't say how many issues it's going to be, but it's called The Monkey Prince, number 1.
All right, so we got the first appearance of the Monkey Prince last year. It was a issue that was it was a special, sort of a tribute to Asian superheroes in the DC universe, and the Monkey Prince had his first appearance in the issue. So now we have the first issue of the title Monkey Prince, and we get sort of Monkey Prince's origin stories. And, it kind of follows in typical superhero origin stories. The kid, becomes a teenager and he starts developing powers that he doesn't understand, like, you would any origin story of, Clark Kent, Superman, or mutants from the X-Men comics, things like that. So in this issue, a guy tries to guide him as to what he needs to do next without, revealing too much of himself. And then also, you get a special appearance in this issue from the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. And Batman is sort of tied to Monkey Prince's origin story. And Monkey Prince doesn't like him that much. And then, in the final pages, Batman, albeit unintentionally, does something very un-Batman-like. And, you better hope that Monkey Prince has the powers, abilities to fix what Batman did, because if he doesn't, then I feel like Batman's in a lot of trouble. So Monkey Prince, number 1 from DC Comics, ends up with
3 shields.
3 shields out of 5.
All right.
Next up.
And last up for the mentions is an Image book. We've been pretty much raving on this off and on this entire run, and this is issue number 11. I thought this one was a lot of fun. Crossover number 11 from Image.
All right, so I gotta say, Donny Cates, the writer for Crossover, he's starting to make my head hurt.
Oh, he's out there.
Yeah. All right, so the original plot for Crossover was a bunch of superheroes, characters from comic books all end up in the quote-unquote real world, and, it deals with the fallout that happened later. And now, it looks like characters in the issue are starting to realize, like, wait a minute, what if we're not in the real world? What if this is just another layer to the comic? What if we're still in a comic book, aka Crossover? So Donny Cates has inserted himself into the story, and there's this whole argument with the character who should be the main character, and she's arguing with Donny Cates in the comic book, and she's like, you're being a total asshole. This is supposed to be my story. You're making it all about you. And it's just sort of hilarious watching this exchange in the scene. And then, in the final pages of the issue, a character who maybe you were hoping that they would bring in, like sort of the character that was introduced in Boba Fett last week.
I never thought about this character at all.
Never thought that they would do it.
No. And it is an Image character, so they didn't step too far out of the bounds of possibilities.
Makes their debut in Crossover. So, anxious to see what happens with that in the next issue.
Could be very interesting.
All right, so Crossover number 11 ends up with...
After we rounded it up, it hit 4 shields.
4 shields out of 5. All right, so that does it for our mentions for this week. Now on to our top 3.
All right. And if you watch the channel very much, you know that we tend to get a lot of ties in this top 3. And then EMoney and I have some sort of contest to determine who gets to arrange them. Well, this week, unlike last week where there was no ties, that was so lovely. At any rate, this week, it was a three-way tie for number 1. So we decided to play Pogs for it. Now, if you're not familiar, Pogs is a game where you collect these little round discs that have artwork. Some of them are rare and some of them are valuable. And you make a little pile of Pogs. EMoney had a little pile of Pogs. And then you take your slammer and you smack it down on the other guy's pile as hard as you can, and you get to keep any of his Pogs that flip over.
Now, when you say keep them, you mean you take them home with you, right?
They're yours.
Okay.
They go into your collection. Now, unless you agree to not do that in advance, which takes the excitement out of the game. But I didn't realize that EMoney had a 5-pound slammer. It's huge. You can use it to do curls with. And so I did my little thing with my little 16-ounce slammer and a couple of things. Mine exploded when he hit it. I mean, I think he broke 3 or 4 of my Pogs in half. So needless to say, if you don't like the order of these next 3 comics, him and his 5-pound weight.
Slammer.
No, it was a weight. All right, so here we go.
That's a fun 90s game.
No. So at number 3, per EMoney, we have Batman, number 120.
All right. So in this issue, Batman has been rendered blind by a character by the name of Abyss, who attacked Batman. Also, you have members of Batman Inc. who have been accused of murder, and they were accused of murdering Abyss, who's obviously not dead. And they are working to solve the crime of what happened here. And they don't really want Batman's help, which is sort of surprising.
The plotline of this thing is just kind of a big mess.
Yeah. And also, Lex Luthor is involved, so throw him into the mix. So, pretty great artwork on this story, albeit felt like it was kind of a short one. But, yeah, still, great artwork, storytelling, excited to see what happens. Batman, number 120, ends up with 4 shields out of 5, our number 3 pick for this week. All right, next up.
All right, from Image. A book that we've liked from the get-go, and I honestly believe that this issue might have topped a lot of the other ones. I mean, I really enjoyed this issue. This is Nocterra, number 7.
All right, so in this issue, we sort of assemble a team here. We get a group together for this caravan trip that all have specialties or abilities to race,
tricked out trucks,
to race across the country in this world of total blackness, where anything that is touched by the darkness ends up becoming a monster. That is the world these people live in. And also, you have the Boogeyman, aka Blacktop Bill, who's chasing after them. And he was hired in order to stop them. Excuse me. But the people who hired Blacktop Bill have seemed to have lost faith in him. And
well, you never know what the cat's going to do.
Mm-hmm. And so the employers have sent some other people to take care of Bill.
Kind of like Blacktop Bill.
Yeah, and Bill has not taken kindly to that.
No, he seemed to object rather violently.
And also, really cool splash page in this issue where you see the outpost where the group posts up for
it's where they're heading to try and get information to fix the world, basically.
Right. So the outpost is actually pretty cool. You have to read the issue to find out. All right, so Nocterra number 7 ends up with 4 shields and is our number 2 pick for this week.
For you.
And then finally, number 1.
All right, back in the 60s, DC did a couple things that was interesting, and I always remember DC for the way they did this. Was one, they did a bunch of 80-page giants. You take a title, hey, let's put a bunch of stories in there. Now, granted, back then, some of the stories they put in these things might be a reprint. No reprints here. And then they did this thing where for a year, maybe, all of their comics came out with the top, like, half an inch was a checkerboard pattern. Well, Image decided to give us a little bit of both, because here we have Geiger, 80-page giant, and checkerboard. Cool.
All right. So, in this issue of Geiger, 80-page giant, it's kind of hard to judge these big issues here because all these short stories, it's varying degrees of quality for writing and artwork, but somehow this one ended up in our number one spot. So,
because it was good.
Yeah. So, for the first story, we're introduced to a character by the name of the Redcoat. And the Redcoat has been, kicking around this big blue marble for about 250 years. He was there at the Revolutionary War. And also, I didn't know if you knew this, old man, but George Washington was apparently a sorcerer.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. They got in boats. They traveled across a nearly frozen river, the dead of winter. And water travels real well across. I mean, sound travels real well across water, and a trained professional military force got surprised by him. And you don't think somebody was messing around with some magic?
Well, that's the way the Redcoat tells it. So we get his origin story, and it looks like the Redcoat is going to be taking part in his own series very soon.
Does appear that way.
Mm-hmm. And then also, you get the origin of how Geiger met his dog, his two-headed dog.
I like that one.
Yeah, it was short and sweet, but it was cute. And then also, you get the origin and bit of the explanation for a lot of the warlords in the post-apocalyptic Las Vegas. So a lot of different origin stories and things happening in this issue, and they sort of flush out the world of Geiger for the next series. All right, so Geiger, 80-page giant. It says number one, but I feel like it's a one shot.
They might do another one in a year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So ends up at our number one spot with 4 shields out of 5. All right, so there is our comic book reviews. Now we have our previews for this week. What's coming up?
All right. Well, when we do the previews, we really just talk about stuff that EMoney and the old man care about.
Well, sure.
As it should be. So, a couple of Batman books. You got Detective 1052 and The Joker number 12. You also have a book that EMoney just discovered recently, which was Evil Ernie. There's been several other companies put out Evil Ernie stories, but we jumped aboard recently, and number 3 comes out this week. Marvel's putting out The Next Devil's Reign, number 4, and their spinoff is Devil's Reign, Villains for Hire, number 2. I thought the Villains for Hire number 1 was pretty adequate, so looking forward to those. If you're familiar with the Hulk when he gets older, Maestro.
Yeah.
They're doing a new series called Maestro World War M, number 1. See what that's all about. But most importantly, the one that we're really looking forward to is Space Bastards. Special delivery.
Space Bastards coming back. All right.
Can't wait.
All right. So there are your previews for this week. Now we're heading over into a special themed movieism this week. All right, so in honor of it being Valentine's Day this coming Monday, I thought I would do a special Valentine's Day themed movieism.
Hang on, let's talk about Valentine's Day just for a second. Okay, Valentine's Day, if you're somebody's Valentine, that implies a level of intimacy.
Okay.
Lovers, whatever. So what does it mean when your kid, your 6 or 7 year old kid, is handing out Be My Valentine cards to kids in school? Not just the girls. He's giving the sucker to the boys too. What does that mean?
When I was little, that was just expectations. I just figured that's what you're supposed to do. But as I got older, the weirder that sort of got.
It's a strange holiday. It really is.
And I sort of, as I got older, it's like I would give the friendships or I like you messages to everybody else, and then I would save the be mine or be my Valentine card for my crush in class.
How'd that work out for you?
No.
Still
Still single, so, not too well, I guess. All right, so yeah, I mean, a lot of weird things you did in school that you didn't really think about while you were there, like eating lunch at 10 a.m. Like, how does that make any sense now? Anyways, all right, so for Valentine's Day, I am doing the Love at First Sight movieism. This is, this has been done, probably been done to death from, the beginning of cinema, and, you're probably very familiar with it. It's pretty self-explanatory. But, give you some examples here. Let's start off with a comic book movie example. In Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, when Scott spots Ramona Flowers from across the room at the party, and he becomes, instantly, infatuated with her. And he goes to his friends and says, hey, who's that girl over there? What's her name? So, instant infatuation. All right, another example. In We're the Millers, pretty fun comedy movie, when Kenny, played by Will Poulter, who is going to be Adam Warlock in the MCU pretty soon. That kind of blows your mind. So when Kenny spots Melissa, played by, one of our favorites, Molly Quinn of Castle fame, he sees her, when the RVs are parked next to each other, and, they both get an instant crush on each other, and, want to see each other some more. And then, another, this is one of my favorites, from The Greatest Showman, when Zac Efron just completed a, really great musical number with Hugh Jackman. They're up on top of the trapeze tower, and he sees Zendaya's character swinging in from the tightrope next to him.
She's not next. She's swinging right toward him.
Yeah, she's upside down, and she looks up. He sees her, and it's like time stops for a second.
Well, whenever you see your true love for the first time just slows down, of course.
Yep. And then first thing he says is, "Who is that?" and wants to know more. So there you have it, the Love at First Sight scene. I hope you guys experience at least one of those moments in your life where, time just sort of slows down. All right, so there is our special Valentine's Day themed movieism. Now, next week, we have a lot of great stuff coming out, more comic book movie news. Stay tuned for more videos from EMoney and the Old Man on this channel, because we hope to have a lot of cool stuff coming out in the future.
Turn your notifications on. You might miss something.
Mm-hmm. Also, we have our Book of Boba Fett finale reaction video coming out later today. So be sure to tune in for that. We saw a lot of cool stuff last episode. We saw the return of Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker, Grogu.
If you haven't watched it yet, don't listen to him right now. Just tune him out.
Grogu, Cobb Vanth, and the live-action debut of a fan favorite, Cad Bane.
How's he a fan favorite? Evil bastard.
Well, I mean, sometimes you love the villains.
I mean, I love to hate the villain.
All right. So, that episode, if it had been any other kind of show or any other Favreau or any other filmmaker, executive besides Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, how I feel like that episode would have gone? Mando gets to the planet to see Grogu. He meets up with R2 and Ahsoka, and they say that Luke Skywalker is off-world, and that he's on a mission, and he's looking for other potential Jedi or whatever.
So they would have dodged Luke completely.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had to do the CGI for a whole episode of Luke Skywalker. So they would just say he's off-world, and Ahsoka's taking care of Grogu in the meantime. But you know what Favreau said? Favreau said, "Screw that! You're getting more Luke Skywalker." That's what he did. All right, so be sure to watch Book of Boba Fett finale. It's on Disney Plus, and tune in for our reaction video later today. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Excelsior.
True believers, I honestly don't think you're reading enough comic books.